Other than when he's serving, if he serves well, he can get in. If he doesn't serve well, and on Muster's service games, how's he going to get in? Well, that's a good start. Because I don't think he can slog it out with Muster from the back of the court. There'll be no profit in that.
15 love. $30 love. $40 love.
Well, that's a wonderful start. He's immediately got good rhythm on his serve, and I'm reminded that one thing Henman has got, one of his great qualities, he loves the big occasion. Now, how's Henman going to get into the forecourt and attack Muster when Muster's serving?
Love 15.
It was a good start by Henman. I was quite surprised Thomas Muster got 2 forehands off the Henman serve and absolutely hit them as hard as he could. They were still going up as they hit the back fence. I'm not sure of the rationale behind that. Jerry, I've always been of the opinion that when playing a baseline of the calibre of Thomas Muster, at the start of the match, don't let him get into any sort of a groove. Don't hit 10, 20 and 30 ground shots with him. I just feel that Tim really has to abbreviate the points.
15.
Muster won't mind playing long rallies, and the longer they play, the better they get grooved. They get their eye in and they become quite lethal on the passing shot. If you give them as few chances as possible, often you're better off.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of tactic that he would thought out with David Thorgate. That he's going to wait for an opportunity to attack, and then he's going to get underneath the ball, slide it low, like that.
He really did make that high backhand smash look easy. It's not an easy shot. The wind today a little bit swirly.
Yes, he's done it again. That's the perfect start for him.
2 games to love.
Yes, you know, leading into Wimbledon, he wasn't playing awfully well. And then suddenly, when he got to Wimbledon, he looked a different person. And I'd forgotten. I should remember these things. He's a player who, instead of being intimidated by the big occasion, thrives on it, in my judgment. That's a wonderful thing.
One thing I like about Henman, and you talk about the big occasion, at Wimbledon, he's gone into several matches that have been very important to him, where he's really been the favourite. And he's played some really accomplished tennis. Often, it's easy to do that when you are the underdog, not when you're the favourite. Does have a good head on his shoulders.
He's made the backhand a target. I suppose it was fairly obvious he was going to do that. He has to be just slightly wary because he can run round those. So you mustn't allow him to have time to run round and hit that in forehand.
The best dance album.
Service games by Henman put him in this position. Muster loves 3. He needs to get his name on the score sheet and start to try and find some rhythm and a groove.
Love 15.
Every time he's gone in on the backhand, and I think he's won every point when he's done so.
Well, Henman's playing perfect
Love
tennis
30.
at the moment. He's really standing on the baseline. He's not allowing himself to be pushed back behind the baseline, so that when the short ball does arise, he's right there. Take it on the rise and take advantage of it.
Fifteen, 30.
Well, he was definitely aided there by the net cord Muster.
Well, that's going to make Muster think again, because it looked to me as if the Austrian had decided that he wasn't going to concede the
15,
forecourt to Henman. Henman can go have a double break here.
Thirty, 40. Deuce.
Well, Muster saving a couple of break points with some good tennis. Maybe just coming up one level in intensity. Quite noticeable to me that he's really trying to crush the ball out there today at the moment, Muster.
Advantage Muster.
Now, that might just be the start of Muster's recovery, because I think he's been knocked right back, winded, really, psychologically, by the flying start that Henman's got. 3-1.
Just get the feeling that maybe Muster didn't come out quite as prepared as he should have been. Normally he comes out smoking. He's constant movement on the court in between points. It just seemed a little flat at the start of this match. Henman, by contrast, has been very alert. He's been moving well.
15
Obviously a good preparation.
Love.
Henman's first serve percentage at the moment is 70%.
Yet to lose a point on serve.
40 love.
One thing in Henman's favour here today, and quite often you'll see Thomas Muster, he starts his returning stance on the baseline or near it, and as he goes to hit the return, he moves backwards, and that really will allow Tim that extra step or two into the net. Well, it's a great return. Look how deep he is in the court, but managing to whip it at the toes of Henman. Good pick up, but just not deep enough.
Oh, if he goes on harrying in these first serves like this, he's going to be very difficult to stop. It's a wonderful start for Henman. 4-1 he leads first set. And it's Telltale Breeze just making Henman's shirt flutter a bit.
Well, in my opinion, that's a great tactic from Tim Henman there. He had a deep forehand on this occasion. Sorry, it was a backhand. Now, Muster not known for his great volleys. Henman just went straight back at him, made him play another volley. Tim, to me, just looks to be not giving Thomas too much pace. He really has taken quite a bit off that backhand slice. He's really floating it around the court.
30-15.
That's the best game he's played. That reduces the leeway to 4-2.
Henman leads by 4 games to 2.
I was just thinking, you know, that Henman's had a long time, well, they both have, to think about this match since the draw was made. Here we are Wednesday. And the same thing happened at Wimbledon a year ago when he had a long time to think about playing Kafelnikov. But today, as then, far from unnerving him, it seems to lift him.
Yes, it can be a good or a bad thing. You've got a lot of time to prepare for a particular opponent. You've also got a lot of time to get nervous.
But
he really does look to be enjoying the fact that he's playing out there on the stadium, the opportunity to get out here on this new centre court. Henman is a nice guy, but he also plays a nice game of tennis, and he's quite a popular guy to practice with. Quite often you see Sampras and Chang enlisting his services, so he's spent quite a bit of time out here on the centre court prior to this match.
Yeah, Henman.
And continues to play his service game quite beautifully. And that stretches lead the first set to 5-2.
Of 15.
We mentioned it
15
before,
off.
Jerry, but Muster actually looks quite keen to get to the net himself, feeling that if he stays back, Henman's going to dominate. He's going to try and make Tim play a few passing shots of his own.
Yes, and I think, you know, you saying that, that means to me that Henman's actually won the first battle, the battle of the psychology of the match. To get Muster to change his pattern.
(40-15). Yeah, Muster.
Yes, he's certainly starting to work his way in now, but 5-3. And Henman now is going to serve the first set, and if he can... And the other is the quality, the incisiveness of Henman serving. 100%, when he's got the first serve in, he's won every point he's served. Now you think about that.
Well, that drop volley is always a risky shot on hard court. The ball does bounce so high, but Tim Henman just takes all the pace away from what was a pretty vicious forehand. Just notice he just dropped the racket face on impact. Just breaks that wrist.
(30-15).
Well, he tried at the start, he tried to just bludgeon the ball to try and intimidate Henman, and it didn't work at all.
Looking at Thomas Muster, it's always an indication for me. The more fidgety he gets between points, the quicker he is around the court, the more times he tugs his shirt. It's always an indication of his intensity level, and he just seems to be raising it at the moment.
Henman, for the first time on his serve, is having to fight here.
(40-30).
He's got a set point. Close enough with that serve to just look up at Bruno Rabiot in the umpire's chair to say, "You sure? Was that?"
I thought that serve was well in, to be honest, Jerry.
Well, he's got the first set. He's got it in a completely decisive manner. He's come out like a spring. I can remember just seeing him start. I remember, was it, what, 3 years ago? Against, who was it, Stich in the final? Agassi came out and played a match like this. Do you remember that? And,
I don't know what happened on that one.
You know, the pace he played with and the sharpness of his game was quite astonishing. Well, I think that's so here. The question is whether, A, Henman can sustain that.
What I said at the beginning of the match, the other players have been saying Tim had been making a lot of unforced errors recently.
(15 low).
Well, once again, Muster trying to take them away from Henman and showing pretty good touch there on the backhand volley.
(30 low). Muster.
I can't say I've ever seen Muster come in as much as this as in any match.
30-15.
Well, you couldn't have fault the approach of Tim Henman there, straight down the middle of the court, inches from the line. But Muster able to generate so much racket head speed and create a great angle of his own.
And Muster.
Yes, that's a much better start by Muster to the second set, and he leads 1-love. Making the point just now, Wally, that I'd never seen Muster come in as much as that. I mean, I think that really that's a compliment. He's playing henman. It'd be interesting to see whether henman, having been passed so well by Muster, which is that 1 point was really vintage Muster, be interesting to see whether that in any way puts a speck of doubt in Henman's mind. I think it won't, incidentally.
No, I don't think it will at all. Tim is a very clever player. He plays good tactical matches, and he knows that he just can't afford to stay back too long against this guy. And I don't think he'll be at all displeased that Muster's making an effort to come to the net, because that's not going to faze Tim at all. He has good ground strokes, he doesn't mind a target, and he returns serve very well. So he'll probably be feeling pretty good about things at the moment.
Time.
Saying how much Muster is trying to convince the world, and probably himself as well, that he really is a winner on hard courts, which he never used to be. He's won only 2 titles this year, not one on clay. I mean, just think about that. Both on hard courts, on this surface, Dubai and Key Biscayne. Well, that was 2 points, really.
Well, that was the rally of the match so far. Tim probably just getting a bit cute with that high forehand volley. Tried to fade it away cross court, and it really did sit up. Might have been better just to bang it away down the middle. I think that Muster's progress on hard courts was hindered by the fact that he had that knee reconstruction all those years ago, and he really stayed away from hard courts for a lot of, well, 3 to 4 years, believing that it was just no good for his knee. Spent most of his time on the clay, a lot kinder surface to the body.
(30-15).
Speed of that last serve, 124 miles an hour. It's just short of his fastest so far in this match, 125 miles an hour. Now, the weight in that serve of Henman's these days is a lot down to Tim Newnham, the former British javelin thrower, Commonwealth Games athlete, who now works full-time for the LTA and largely with Henman.
Henman just questioning that call. Thought it was a fault and maybe just eased up after the serve. Wasn't really looking for the volley. Just seeing him get the line there. Is that same trainer working with Greg Rosetsky?
No. I mean, he is employed by the LTA, and he'll work with anybody the LTA wants. But he's here, and he travels a lot with Henman. And the LTA know they have a duel, and you know, they're handling it very carefully.
I was just very impressed with the way Greg Rusedski moved the other day. I was just wondering whether he'd been working with anybody on that in particular. His court movement was exceptional.
I have a feeling the battle is really starting to get going here, because Muster is beginning to give him problems as he comes in. Henman, seems to me, shows no sign of being scared by that. So this is pitched warfare.
Well, that's the danger, isn't it? Tim's been very accurate on his serve. Muster has started to get on it. And what happens? You just try for a little bit too much.
And this is the first time so far in the match that Henman's been in danger of dropping his serve. Oh, that's a wonderful shot. That's Muster absolutely at his best. And he just loves it, and the crowd love that too. There's a change. Muster 2 love.
Well, apart from that double fault, which he really did go for, Henman didn't do too much wrong here. Pretty unlucky. Anytime you get the lob over your opponent's head, you've got to be feeling pretty good. I just think he really had to cover the line there. He left a big gap.
The important point, I think, because it looked for a moment to me as if Henman, for the first time, found he couldn't find a ball to get in on. But he did.
Love 15.
And he won the point.
Well, it sounds crazy, Jerry, but I'm of the opinion that he just wants to avoid those long rallies so badly that he's almost better off going for a bit too much and making an error. It just takes too much out of you if Muster starts running you around the court. He's such a heavy hitter of the ball. Over the course of 5 sets, you'll be exhausted. The whole thing too, Muster really enjoys the physicality of a tennis match. If you can take that away from him, he's not quite as happy. Just a shot there of Bruno Roubaud.
That's beautifully played.
Once again, just showing us the great touch he has. He has quite a closed racket face on the forehand volley. His preferred side is off to the cross court.
Early chance for break back. And he gets it with the help of that double fault. So Muster's lead in the second set is reduced to 2-1. Henman leads 1 set to love. pick out individuals, and I hadn't spotted them, but I know they're here. Richard Lewis is down there, David Felgate, Jeremy Bates, Tim Newnham, the former javelin thrower, he's down there. So it's quite a team henman assembled.
Service.
Why is it when anyone becomes any good, they end up with an entourage?
Well, you know, I didn't think I'd ever say this, but I've been saying it actually for about 5 years now. We have a very good LTA, and it's very well organised, and they know that through the years they've made the mistake of letting young players go into the men's game without any help, particularly abroad.
I don't know if they'll show that point in replay, but that was a very smart shot. The backhand of Henman, high, not much on it, good depth, good control. I really do appreciate the way he changes the flight of the ball, the angle, the pace, the spin.
It was a gamble, but it was beautifully worked out. It's pre-plotted. We've seen that point time and time again already, and Henman's got level. I must say this, I think Greg Rosetsky is a great help to Henman, simply because he's providing him with somebody to keep vaulting over. Rosetsky now just in front of Henman in the ranking.
Love 15.
Yes, I think that's an important point. If you look at some tennis dynasties, you look at the Australian dynasty, they definitely pushed each other along. The Swedes throughout the late 70s and during the 80s. Nowadays, the Spanish. Always helps to have more than one. Well, it didn't work for him this time, but once again, I think it's a pretty good play. Going straight at the body of Thomas Muster, and in the end, you'd have to say he was a little bit lucky to get away with that. I don't think he really could have told you where that was going. One thing you notice with players that aren't particularly natural volleys, they really do, when they come to the net, they really do rush the net. They like to play their volleys from as close as possible. So by going at the body,
Muster leads. Henman leads by 1 set to love. trying terribly hard to be objective about the henman thing, not to get to lead people into expecting too much too soon. But whenever I see him play matches like this on the great stadiums of the world, it is exciting to see a British player with so much talent and such a beautifully pure player.
15 love.
I think we in Australia are suffering the same thing with Philippoussis and Rafter. Everybody desperate for them to make that breakthrough and possibly win a major. We all believe they've got the game to do it.
$15. Pretty 15.
That's 7 aces from Henman, second in this set.
And the thing that's impressed me today is the accuracy of that first serve. We've seen him serve fairly consistently up around the 120s, but really has been pegging lines with that first serve.
Game to second set. Henman one set up.
3 games off.
Another thing about Henman is that he always seems to me, Wally, to play with a wonderful, a mature emotional equilibrium. You know what I mean? He double fault on the first point. You don't see him going to a slump. Just carries on, dismisses it.
Well, you talk about his temperament. I just don't know how he plays with all the attention he receives during that Wimbledon fortnight. That match against Paul Harhoos on the set court, that was just a madhouse. He seemed to be the only one that was keeping his head. He obviously read that famous Kipling line as he walked onto centre court. I don't know Tim particularly well, but I have a feeling it comes from intelligence. I believe he's a pretty smart guy. It really does show when he plays tennis. He's a real thinking man. Well, he didn't get away with it here, Henman, but it is a great approach. Just look at that. Very hard to play a passing shot as you're running forward to a low ball. Henman's done that very well. He's varied his pace.
$30.
And one thing Thomas Muster does have is very extreme Western grips. He doesn't mind the ball up around his ears, but when it's down a bit lower, he really does have to work hard. Well, it's called a smash, and that's just what he does. Absolutely buries it.
And Muster goes ahead by the odd game. 4-3 he leads in the second set. Henman leads by 1 set to 3.
I do what I do best. I take scores. You do what you do best. Trying to stop guys like me.
And blind. I mean, we didn't let each other see we were going to write down the 6 most promising young talents in the game, in the men's game, I think we'd both put Henman in there, and Philippoussis and Rafter, your 2. Do you agree with that?
Well, I definitely would. Those 3 you've just mentioned are possibly the 3 most marketable too.
Love 15.
That is just a great move to the net. The moment he saw that Thomas Muster was about to play a slice, Henman just charged to the net. Muster not noted for the penetration on his slice. Henman had a pretty good idea he was going to float it. Good thinking. A pretty crucial point. He was down love 15.
$15.30.
Well, at 15-30 down, he produced a great second serve, really had a lot of bite on it, took Muster away out of court at 30 all, really did jam him.
Look at that. Young man, you'd expect he'd have rushed that one. Let's go and get it finished. No lack of control again. Complete composure on his 4-all.
Well, my old coach used to say to me, never send a man on a boy's errand. You see a lot of that today in the men's game, but not with Tim Henman.
Love.
Well, it's been part of Henman's plan not to give Thomas too much pace, but that one really ballooning off the strings.
Again, look at the way he just improvised there.
15 all.
Very quick perception, mental perception, Henman has. Oh, what a copy of the video of this one for that shot.
Well, he almost had a quick little look at his box there. For recognition, that really was played well. You can see he's back virtually to the net. Very difficult shot.
Well, just for once, that was the shot of the Royal player, because he played it almost before the ball had come to it.
I think Muster may have surprised him there. I think he was looking for the kick serve and Muster slid it into his body.
Point from 5-4, and the longer it goes, the more this close second set, in which Muster had a lead of 2-love, the more important it is, I think, in the ultimate destination of this match.
Again,
Muster leads 5-4. Henman leads by 1 set to love. He took the first set.
Leads by 5 games to 4.
Muster's managed to break the serve only once so far, but this is a particularly testing service game, I think, coming up here. 4-5.
15-love.
That produces Henman's 9th ace.
$15.
Why make a big deal of it?
Well, Henman did the right thing getting out of the court here, because Muster has been known to put these absolutely through you. I always get the feeling he mishit that one. Well, for once, Muster's footwork wasn't quite as it should have been. Just taking one big step when a couple of little ones was maybe the option.
Wapies.
5 cents.
One of those occasions there where Muster really was using force that I think wasn't called for at the time.
That's an unusual mistake for him, because the usual play for Thomas is to really dip the ball at the feet and then have a crack at the passing shot. Just trying to bludgeon that second serve.
Then Henman.
5 games all.
5 games all.
He hasn't forgotten the script, and he hasn't scared. And I agree with you that he's a delightful person, well-mannered, well brought up.
Well, Muster really looks the part at the net here. Very confident forehand volley. Short.
service.
Technically very sound.
I think there's not much doubt that simply because Henman came out and was in such a glorious rhythm from the start, it took Muster only 10 or 15 minutes to realise that he couldn't let the youngster dictate the match to him the way Henman was. That's a love game to Muster, and it puts him in front by 6 games to 5 in the second set.
The lead by 6 games to 5.